So I was able to, I had a crazy session with the org part. He went
Yeah.
through like 30, 20 minutes of unburdening. Um, that happened 2 days ago. Yes. And during that process, I was finally able to tap to pretty high levels of self, like I had a few years ago. That lasted for like 20 minutes.
Mhm.
Something else came up.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's good to experience that it's finally coming back.
Glad you had 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then yesterday, my mom calls me, says that there was something that she wanted to show me, but she didn't know if to do it. Uh, when she said that, immediately it started to trigger me because she knows I will always want to know the truth. I would never want anyone to hide anything from me. And then she said, but I know you're going to have clients soon. So listen, just show it to me. So she sent me some posts that my ex did where the levels of painting in black is the highest I've ever seen. And my mom got very triggered from reading that because
Is your
she
ex
said,
and your mom friends? Like, how
no,
did
so
she have?
my mom somehow saw that post. I don't know. It might be her feed or whatever it is.
Oh,
Anyway, but then something very interesting happened. So as I'm reading this, so initially my heart was beating very fast from the trigger. And then the more I kept reading, the more the trigger relaxed to the point where there were some moments where laughter came up because of the distortion that is within the cheering. And it was very surprising that my killer part did not come up very strongly as it used to come up, wanting to use his fire to expose what is true with evidence and facts and blah blah blah.
yeah.
Basically being in this kind of a war. So not only that this did not come up, my daddy part started to come up because he saw the pain behind what she said. And I know exactly what part in her, I assume, was talking
Hmm.
in the post. And then I wanted Rachel to see it also because I wanted to see her face while she reads it. Yeah. And when she asked me how I'm feeling, and I told her how what I'm experiencing.
Is your mom or Rachel?
No,
Like, is it how
Rachel.
you're feeling? Okay.
Um, from Rachel's perspective, there is a huge disconnect in my system, kind of like I had with my previous best friend. And then at work, I can see that possibility. At the same time, usually what would come up in the situation is that need to fight for the killer part, but it's not coming up.
Mhm.
Like, there is a little bit of flash, like from 1 to 10, let's say it was 10. Maybe because of the unburdening, I'm not sure what happened. Um, let's say 2 weeks, a month ago, it would be a 10. Now it was maybe like glimpses of a 2.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I started to feel the heaviness coming up. And it's a heaviness from a sense of powerlessness from the childhood.
Okay.
And it's crazy because like 2 days ago, I was talking with Rachel. I was telling her that when I come back to the US, maybe we should send my ex some message that even though we have our differences, there will always be love, just for her, child to know that she's still being seen and understood. Then, fucking day after this happens. So I imagine that this is part of the reason why the heaviness came up. And also, I was trying to check what is going on with the killer part. Is it some kind of a suppression, or is it he really changed so drastically? Then I heard him saying, due to the fact that the system already validates his presence and understands how important it is, and the fact that he knows that if he wanted to, he could use um, evidence to dismantle completely a lot of what has been said. And because he knows he has the ability to quote unquote win, he doesn't have a need to do it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And this is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. I hear a bit in it that like it I mean this is oversimplifying it, but it doesn't matter to him anymore. It's like silly.
It does matter. Like, it sucks. Um, but a huge difference that happened uh, when the killer part used to get activated. He would start to curse the people that paint me in black. And there was a lot of times other parts tried to show the killer that it's not all of her who's saying what she says, it's a certain part.
Hmm. Hmm.
And now, when there were some small flashes of anger, the killer part already came with that perspective pre-installed. It wasn't talking about her as a person, but specifically to the party that was speaking. So that also is beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I bet.
Also, there is this spiritual teacher that I'm following. And a few years ago, she had a major fallout with a person that was very close to her for decades. That person betrayed her, in order to have a romantic relationship with someone. And then when I have experienced it, knowing that that spiritual teacher went through what she went through gave some solace to what I was going through. And that same pattern happened again. There's this guy that I just became aware of his content very recently. And from my perception, he is being heavily painted in black, almost exactly the same way that I'm being painted in black. So seeing other people that are in way more places of power and influence kind of gives solace
Yeah.
to my inner experience.
That part showing up. Would it like to connect further?
For some reason, right before I was talking, as we started the session, I felt a very strong heaviness. In the moment we started the session, like 70% of it has diminished. There's the part that is constricted.
Mm-hmm. And that part is saying how incredibly sad it is. Yeah.
Right as I was about to send her some form of a loving message, this dynamic happened.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
suspecting there is some disconnect.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Is there a part here that wants to disconnect or separate? Maybe we can speak to you. I imagine you have some important things to share.
The shift that happened 2 days ago with the org part
Mm-hmm.
looked like 20 or 30 minutes of exorcism, and the unburdening happened.
Yeah.
I wrote a part saying, I hate my biological father. So there is still more of that. When I was in the unburdening process,
Mm-hmm.
there was a moment where the higher version of my biological dad and my higher version of the stepdad, both of them came up and assisted the unburdening process. I'm also hearing a part that is shocked by the transformation that the old part went through.
Yeah. And I'd invite you to just ask what do these parts want you to know about what you went through, or probably want to share with you.
Maybe speak directly to the orc part.
Okay. Is the orc part here? Are you here right now?
Mhm.
How are you doing since the last, I would say, intense meeting you had with Neo?
Still processing that.
Yeah, it was a pretty big event. How's it to be with him now?
I have changed from an orc to an Taurus. I don't know if you know this world.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Never mind. Um, I'm definitely experiencing more self energy flowing through me.
Yeah. How is that for you?
It feels good.
Good. Good. And there's been this experience of something blocking. Is that you, or is something else blocking right now? Mm.
I don't think that I'm blocking. Seems like other parts didn't have too much of a chance to explore the shit in the system through actions in the outer world. For example, the big shit that happened is the amount of triggers from being painted in black is way lower. Also, let's say I imagine a confrontation with the people that painted me in black.
Maybe you
The
just need
the
some more time. I was just saying we can go as slow as you want to go.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but when I imagine confronting the people that paint me in black,
Hmm.
it's not a war anymore.
What is it now?
Let's say I imagine inviting all of them to like a live video so everybody can watch,
Mhm.
come up with their own conclusions. It's less about trying to win and more about asking them questions first to fully understand their perspective. And when I imagine it, I can see how pretty quickly it would reach a glass ceiling in the conversation.
What do you want?
Is
Seems like more of that is happening. Are you looking for peace on the inside or outside or both?
those I'm noticing that before me and the girl part and the Smith part were in the perspective where there is a point to make, and because it was coming from a place of a place of defense,
Mhm.
and now the need to defend is way lower.
And how is it to experience that, like this lower reaction, lower defense?
It's a crazy shift.
Hmm. Yeah, seems like it brings about more self energy. Does that create more peace?
Internally, for sure.
Okay.
There is even a degree of compassion towards them. It was funny to see when I was talking with my mom. I was telling her
Hmm.
that was frustrated by the fact that I have compassion. It was so funny.
Yeah, different. It's different, huh? It's surprising and shocking and yeah, funny for sure. Sounds like she needed to defend something for you, right? She had a part that needed to defend this for you.
Yes. hearing a part saying, "What the fuck is happening here?" So I'm just getting this silence from the inside. So maybe keep probing and see what comes up.
So the silence, I'm curious if you could turn towards it. Just be open to it. It could be tense silence, it could be open silence. Just I would invite you to sort of notice and see what that's like for you.
There is some shock attached to it.
Shock. Okay. And notice that shock. Stay with that shock
The
if that's
shock,
okay.
the shock is saying cannot be happening.
It cannot be happening. Okay.
This kind of a shift in the system.
Okay. And why is that? Why can it not be happening?
It's so drastic. And so probably if you look, let's say, well, motherfucker, have you seen what happened 2 days ago? During that process, the work
Mhm.
was a part that was almost constantly coming in, trying to quote unquote interfere with lowering expectations and kind of rushing the process in order to check if it is real and if something is changing and is it permanent.
Mhm.
So at least like 10 times that part came in, took a step back, and came in, took a step back. So it's probably this part.
Okay. Yeah, you can ask it. So ask it if that's what's happening.
Yeah, that part is nodding his head, saying, from the place of shock, it cannot be happening.
Okay. Yeah. Are you curious about that? Why? Why does it say it can't be happening?
Because if it is happening, it means that it is a major shift in the system.
Is that something you don't like? Do you not like those shifts?
I'm afraid of getting disappointed.
Okay.
And by disappointed, I mean having the hopes that this change will be permanent. And if this change is permanent, then it means that the levels of self energy is good enough in order to doing work with groups. And in 2 days, I have the flight to the US. The demon part was pushing in order to expand the level of influence.
And what are your concerns about this shift? There's some concerns that it seems you have. You're welcome to them.
Doing it is a huge level of embodiment of the next stage of my life.
Mhm.
It's a similar leap from being um, employed to being self-employed. I felt some, it's hard for me to tell if it is anxiety or excitement.
Okay. Stay with it for a little bit.
There is excitement in it,
Hmm.
and then immediately some part brings up a situation that I had maybe 2 years ago, and I did a lecture about IFS, and then after the lecture, some probably 60 or 70 year old Russian came up to me with tears in her eyes, and the system kind of froze in the sense of there was some part that said, okay, I have talked with her enough, time for me to go. But another part couldn't let her go because I didn't want to disappoint her or something like this. So now there is a part that is bringing up this scenario again to see if there will be a shift in reaction from my system towards her. Hmm. Yes, it's pretty easy to put up a boundary in a loving way.
Notice that boundary or any parts concerned about that at all?
Some part just shouted, "Bro, what the fuck is this?" And he starts to cry.
Oh,
So I'm asking him, "How come you're crying?" And then he says that he has waited for this for such a long time. And
yeah.
this means releasing the burden of being a monster to such a degree where it inhibits my system way less.
Hmm.
So he's saying, "What the fuck?" So maybe
Yeah.
time has finally come to ascend the throne.
I would invite you to ask him what it is specifically he's waited for, if you're curious about that. He said he
Freedom.
waited for this. Yeah. And he has it now.
Says he can already taste it.
Mm.
He's kind of afraid to fully come in terms with that because he's afraid of getting attached to it, and then some other trigger will come up and he go back to what he perceives as a prison. And this part is looping on what the fuck is happening.
Yeah. Maybe just show him a little bit of what's happening for him, about some of the changes that have happened to the system, and just invite him to notice it.
I asked him if he saw the process I made with the former org part.
Hmm.
And he says yes. At the same time, we had all kind of processes and this layer of the system that is so dense has been on the surface for such a long time that he kind of got accustomed to it or taught himself to get used to it and even let go of the expectation that anything will change. And for him now, it's as if it's too good to be true. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, just take your time with it and observe how it goes.
So that part is asking the killer part, wait, are you saying that you, after what you saw, that your ex wrote, don't want to burn her with the truth anymore? That the killer part is saying, no. The part is asking why. The killer says, will not bring about any resolution to the conflict. Coming from the place of burning, even though if it's with truth and facts and
Hmm.
evidence, still will not help peace to come. About saying, what the fuck, but you're a warrior, aren't you?
That part one, the one that's saying, I don't understand this, but you're a
That
warrior.
parts that part is asking these type of questions uh, because he doesn't understand how a shift can be so strong. So he's asking questions to validate something.
Yeah. And what is
And
it that you, oh, go ahead.
then the killer part is saying something that Peterson said, something about the meek shall inherit the earth, or something like this, where it's those who keep their swords sheathed will inherit the earth, meaning the sword is prepared for war, but and he can go to battle if needed. At the same time, he believes that with these people, more of a curious, compassionate approach is a better strategy.
Mhm.
So the other part is saying, but aren't you turning into weakness? And the killer is saying exactly the opposite. The fact that I can use to channel anger instead of being taken by it is more of a strength than a weakness. Then the part is saying, bro, what the fuck? What were you about to ask before or say?
Yeah, I'm just curious about how this is affecting him. He seems just so surprised and just want to make sure he has an opportunity to explore that. This change seems to be concerning for him, even if it's something you might want. It can be overwhelming.
The evidence shown to that part that a shift has happened, and then he's being reminded how with my ex was this experience of I'm going at the beach almost every day. From a certain part's perspective, it's like I'm walking the desert. So I remember telling her that there is a part that says, "Is my walk in the desert finally over?" Meaning I finally found a person that can at least walk with me or maybe even get me out of this desert. And then that part started to develop the attachment towards that,
Mhm.
hoping that the connection will last forever. And then the breakup came around and the disappointment and the pain. So I can see that that part is afraid to have his hopes up again. Same time, I'm noticing how my hands are placed and the tone of the voice and the speed. It's undeniable there is more levels of self energy.
Just experience that, take that in, and I'm inviting the part to experience that and take that in.
The demon was showing this part, but there's another shift that happened here. My mom told me to talk 2 days ago. That I was thinking about going to some dancing lessons, and then she gave up because it's too expensive.
Mhm.
And there is a desire on my end to pay for her for those lessons. then that part is saying yes, but what about the our finances? The demon is saying it is okay for now, and he has a feeling that it will even bring more flow of abundance for some reason.
Are there other parts you can ask to have any concerns? Any other parts coming up or having questions?
Oh, what?
Any other parts having questions or concerns about this change? All are welcome.
It's not clear to me why. Where did the sense of powerlessness go?
You might update it, let it know where it went. It was transformed when you worked with the orc.
I'm hearing maybe that where I'm speaking with is very curious to see how my interactions with women will change.
Mhm.
I think I'm entering a new layer of the system.
What is that like?
More access to self. In the past 2 weeks, my mental capabilities were negatively impacted. I'm noticing that it is coming back to how it was.
Hmm. And my invitation again is just to let these parts know what's going on and to, in a sense, take it in because there was a lot of change that happened. They may need some time. sort of take this in.
So that part was checking to see what is happening in the dancing department in your system.
Hmm.
Immediately constriction came up. Now, when I imagined my previous ex was very big
Hmm.
into dance and movement,
Big into what? Say that word again. Just
into dance and movement.
okay.
For example, with her, if we, I could definitely dance with her now.
Hmm.
Because there's already a degree of emotional intimacy and trust. But then if I imagine doing it with some stranger, it's different. It's harder, way harder.
What's hard about it? That's that part. What's hard about it?
There is this child part that needs a degree of trust and safety with the girl in order to open up in this way. Because when I imagine different women, that I do have a degree of emotional connection and trust. It is there is a shift, a positive shift.
That's great. I'm thankful for these shifts for you. And maybe just inviting your system. What would it like? Where would it like to go now? With the shift, where is it headed?
I imagined a dynamic when I see a group of girls and I imagine approaching them. There is way less restriction around that. I just remembered that there was really breakthrough with my mom 2 days ago. So um, maybe in the last 3 months, maybe a little bit more, I'm not sure. Almost every time we had a call, I hang up, I tell her that I love her. Uh, and, and for her, it's very hard to say it back. So, so, so as I say it, I immediately hang up in order to not receive, for her not being
Awkward.
reciprocal, the awkwardness. And 2 days ago, she said it back for the first time. Or it was like a second before I hang up, but I heard it. She said it.
Mm. And how is that?
It was completely suppressed until now.
Uh, oh, yeah. Are you curious about that? I would lean into that if you have interest there. Yeah.
Yeah, that part is even more shocked now. So now I imagined doing a session, like a demo session we have in training in front of the group.
Mhm.
Um, it brought up even more self-imaging. And this part is very confused. Is saying, where did the anger that we had at the gym today and the uh, sadness and powerlessness go that we had right before the session?
Mhm.
So I asked if the powerlessness is here. Then it said that a major reason why it was so present is because it wasn't aware towards the shift of the killer part.
Yeah.
And now that it is aware that the killer part has shifted so much, powerlessness, which seems like a child part, is having faith and trust that with this new levels of self and this new layer of the system, peace could be accelerated externally, but it is definitely shifted internally.
It shifted into you, you said? To you?
Internally.
Internally, okay.
I heard some angry music. I can see how, if I want, I can put that kind of music in the phone and I could have energy to go to the gym now.
Sounds like it can be used for you. Right?
Yes, at the same time, I'm so curious why the anger is there.
Okay. Yeah.
The anger is saying that it is pissed off that people tend to be not perspicacious enough and will hear one side of the story and immediately come up with judgments and criticism without even hearing the other side and then come up to conclusions. And the context is what my ex wrote. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
But why is it so bad? It activates the being painted in black, being misrepresented and misunderstood. So I've extended some understanding towards that part, and then that part said to me, but doesn't it piss you off? I'm saying that I can see the tragedy in it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can also see where it is coming from.
And I guess I'm curious, maybe you already know, but why is this part so pissed off? What is it so angry about? Maybe it wants to be heard about that.
He says because he brings up that one time where I approached this girl here, and then she said, "Are you the ex of this girl?" I said, "Yes," and she said, "So I think it's better for us not to connect."
Hmm.
So that part is pissed off and is powerless towards the fact of how some people can be influenced by a distorted perception of reality that negatively impacts him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, my real interest in that is just so it makes sense to you, right? Are you feeling like you're really understanding? You can, good, good, good. And just sort of what else lean in and hear how this change that recently happened is affecting your system. Are your parts feeling heard and understood?
This part I just spoke is frustrated by the
Okay.
low level of the mainstream to be able to critically think and even be aware of their own triggers and have communication. He's pissed off at this emotional dark age. And then the angry music comes up.
Mhm.
He's pissed off that he has to deal with a certain level of consciousness of people,
Yeah.
cultures, and society.
That is a tough one. I hear you. Unfortunately, we are unable to change others. We can only change ourselves. And the hopes is that that'll influence others and see that there is another way, just like the inside can see and discover that too, that there is another way.
Yes. And now some of the powerlessness came back to the surface, the heaviness. So then the part said, so what the hell do we do with this shit?
Hmm.
So I told him, we feel it.
Yeah. What does he want to do? What does he want to do?
He's kind of resigning, saying it's better for other parts to deal with this kind of shit. It's not for me.
Okay.
So I'm asking him, so what do you want to do? And he says that he understand that he needs to investigate why he is so pissed off about it.
Is he sharing with you? You hearing from him?
No, I felt an overwhelm, and again, the
Oh,
part that says, "What the fuck is happening?" came up.
okay.
So I was curious how this part feels towards the other one that came up before.
Mhm.
And he says, "Yes, we are in the same layer of the system." So I'm asking this part if it wants to join the new layer. This part kind of feels responsible for the other parts that are still in his layer. So he's kind of the caretaker of all that layer in the system. So I extended some appreciation towards him. He received it very well.
Yeah.
The angry music came up again.
Mm. Is, is the angry music, I guess I'm curious, is the angry music a part or is a part using the music?
Seems like a part using the music,
Okay.
kind of show its presence.
Hmm.
It's like a trailhead that I can use to get to that part. So this part is saying that he's so exhausted from dealing with a certain level of consciousness of people. So, but what does it mean dealing?
Yeah.
He's frustrated by seeing how brainwashed some people are.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then some heaviness comes up again. Yeah, this part is saying so much of humanity is
Mm,
brainwashed by the matrix,
yeah.
even defending it. It's fucking crazy.
And if humanity, if people don't get it, what is his concern about that? If if they can't figure this out.
Just by being around it, it repulses him.
Well, what to him? I didn't hear the word.
It repulses him.
Yeah, I think this is important, right? For him and for you, right? I mean, I'm feeling for him because he's frustrated, he's concerned. And I think it's worth staying with. Yeah.
And then the parts from the upper, let's say, in the more higher vibration, healed or upgraded layer of my system, reached out to him and said that they understand there is a lot of work to do here on this planet.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why that part has experienced that heaviness, it's because he perceived himself as lonely to a degree in that journey.
Oh, I suppose he can be as lonely as he wants to be. You know, he can join forces or do it alone. It's
So the connection has been made, and this part was saying that he will need some assistance in order to be also upgraded.
yeah. It's why we do what we do, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just appreciate the work you're doing today and the orc part and this higher vibration that you're having and just this willingness for us to stay with this one that's having this frustration. We don't have to push ahead of him.
Hmm.
So I'm glad we're staying here with him.
Hmm. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll probably meet back with this part next time.
Hmm.
All right. Thanks a lot.